It was only a matter of time before the NBA said enough is enough. This should have happened years ago.
The WNBA's financial future hangs by a thread. Despite record-breaking viewership and the out-of-this-world Caitlin Clark effect, the league is hemorrhaging money at an alarming rate. NBA owners are outraged as they watch their investment sink deeper into the red, with a staggering $40 million loss projected for 2024. One of the highest losses in history.
Yes, and it's also, the twofold part of it is, this is a league that's historically lost the NBA money, and lost everyone money that's a part of it. That's why salaries are low.
But that's not all. The players themselves are on the brink of revolt, opting out of their collective bargaining agreement. If a new deal isn't struck by the end of 2025, there may not even be a 2026 season. Is this the beginning of the end for women's professional basketball in America? Before we break it down, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Are you ready? Let's go.
When you're investing millions and millions of dollars into a dump, and not once have you seen a return on that investment, not once have you received a dividend.
The WNBA just had its most watched season ever. So why are NBA owners fuming? It's a paradox that's shaking the foundation of women's professional basketball in America. On one hand, we've seen record-breaking viewership, packed arenas, and a surge in merchandise sales. The Caitlin Clark effect has brought millions of new eyes to the league. But behind the scenes, a financial storm is brewing that threatens to tear it all down. Despite the apparent success, the WNBA is projected to lose a staggering $40 million in the 2024 season. This isn't just a minor setback, it's one of the highest losses in the league's history. And while it's actually an improvement from earlier forecasts that estimated a $50 million loss, it's still a number that has NBA owners seeing red. To understand why this matters so much, we need to look at the complex ownership structure of the WNBA. The NBA owns approximately 60% of the women's league. When you factor in the stakes held by individual NBA team owners, that figure jumps to about 75%. This means that every dollar lost by the WNBA is felt directly in the pockets of NBA executives and team owners.
Even with the Caitlin Clark uptick in business, and it was significant, it did not matter. The WNBA is set to lose $40 million this season for this prior season, and NBA investors are actually starting to get irritated.
The frustration among these investors is palpable. One NBA team executive didn't mince words, stating, "The WNBA owes the NBA so much we won't see any windfall for years." This sentiment reflects a growing impatience with the league's inability to turn popularity into profit. But how did we get here? The WNBA has been operating at a loss for years, with some seasons seeing deficits as high as $10 million or more. The hope was always that increased investment would eventually lead to profitability. But as the losses mount year after year, for almost 3 decades now, that light at the end of the tunnel seems to be growing dimmer. The 2024 projected loss of $40 million is particularly alarming because it comes at a time when the league should be thriving. With a once-in-a-generation talent like Caitlin Clark drawing unprecedented attention to the game, many expected this to be the turning point. Instead, it's become a glaring example of the disconnect between popularity and profitability in women's sports.
The way they treated Caitlin Clark, and we know the way a lot of these players have talked so badly about the new fans that have come in. Well, the new fans are what's going to make you money. So if you continue to talk badly about them, they're going to get fed up and they're going to not watch.
The WNBA isn't sitting idle, though. They're expanding the regular season and playoff schedule in an attempt to generate more revenue. But even these efforts are met with skepticism from NBA owners. As the losses continue to pile up, the consequences could be severe. Some NBA owners have begun to question the long-term viability of the WNBA. There's growing speculation that if the financial situation doesn't improve dramatically and soon, the league could face the unthinkable: closure. This financial crisis puts immense pressure on everyone involved with the WNBA. League executives are scrambling to find new revenue streams and cut costs. Players are watching nervously, knowing that their futures hang in the balance. And fans are left wondering if the WNBA will be kept afloat or implode. If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action.
Some owners want more transparency from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver about when they get to see some return on the suddenly popular WNBA.
Amidst the financial turmoil, a rebellion is brewing on the court. The WNBA players, refusing to be passive observers in their own demise, have made a move so daring it could rewrite the future of women's basketball. What's driving these athletes to risk it all, and how far are they willing to go to secure their place in the sport? The WNBA Players Association has thrown down the gauntlet, opting out of their collective bargaining agreement by the November 1st deadline. This isn't just a negotiation tactic, it's a potential game changer that could alter the landscape of women's professional basketball in America. With this bold move, the players have signaled they're no longer willing to accept the status quo, even if it means putting their careers on the line.
They are opting out of the current collective bargaining agreement in order to negotiate one for down the road, a more lucrative CBA for the players.
The consequences of this decision are far-reaching and potentially catastrophic. If the players and the league fail to hammer out a new agreement by the end of 2025, the 2026 season could be in serious jeopardy. Imagine a summer without the thunderous roar of the crowd as Caitlin Clark sinks a three-pointer, or the electric atmosphere as Aaliyah Boston dominates in the paint. The very thought sends shockwaves through the basketball community. But what's driving this high-stakes gamble? The players' demands reflect a growing frustration with the disconnect between the league's soaring popularity and their own financial realities. They're pushing for increased salaries, better working conditions, and a more equitable share of the revenue their performances generate. It's a stark reminder that while viewership and attendance have surged, the players themselves haven't seen a proportional increase in their compensation. The league, however, finds itself in a precarious position. With projected losses of $40 million in 2024, WNBA executives argue that dramatic salary increases simply aren't feasible. They point to the expanded regular season and playoff schedule as evidence of their commitment to growth. But for many players, these incremental changes aren't enough.
Players Association announced Monday that the players are seeking, quote, a business model that reflects their true value, encompassing higher salaries, enhanced professional working conditions, expanded health benefits, and crucial investments needed for long-term growth.
As tensions rise, the specter of a player strike looms large. Historical precedent suggests such actions can lead to significant change. Just look at the 1996 U.S. women's national soccer team strike, which paved the way for improved conditions in women's soccer. Could a similar watershed moment be on the horizon for the WNBA? The coming months will be crucial. Negotiations between the players' union and league officials will intensify, with each side acutely aware of what's at stake. The players' unity will be tested as they weigh the potential benefits of a new deal against the risks of a protracted battle. For the league, it's a delicate balancing act between addressing player concerns and maintaining financial stability. While negotiations hang in the balance, all eyes turn to an unexpected savior. Caitlin Clark's freshman season sparked a revolution in viewership and attendance. Yet beneath the surface of this apparent triumph lurks a troubling question. Has the Caitlin Clark effect pushed the WNBA to a breaking point it can't recover from?
And by not, you hit the nail on the head. It keeps the salaries low.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, if you want to talk lockout or potential lockout, potential strike, the only player that matters here is Caitlin Clark. And if she wants to sit out on behalf of the WNBA PA, well, they're going to have to do a lot more to stand up for her than what they've done.
The numbers tell a story of unprecedented success. Clark's rookie campaign was nothing short of historic, shattering 62 records and redefining expectations for first-year players, including setting WNBA historic records in assists in a game and in a single season. But Clark's impact extended far beyond individual accolades. The Indiana Fever, once struggling to fill seats, suddenly found themselves at the center of a basketball renaissance. Over 600,000 fans flocked to Fever games throughout the season, a staggering increase that transformed the team's home court into one of the most electric atmospheres in the league. This surge in attendance wasn't isolated to Indiana. Clark's presence on the court drew capacity crowds in arenas across the country, with fans eager to witness the phenomenon firsthand. Some opponents even had to book bigger arenas whenever the Fever were in town.
And the Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history. Clarkonomics, my friend!
Television ratings soared to new heights, with regular season games averaging 1.2 million viewers, a massive leap from the previous year's 440,000. Clark's ability to captivate audiences and draw casual fans into the world of women's basketball seemed to herald a new era for the WNBA. Merchandise flew off the shelves, social media buzzed with highlights and discussions, and for a moment, it appeared that the league had found its golden ticket to mainstream success. However, as the spotlight intensified, so too did the challenges facing the WNBA. The Caitlin Clark effect, while undoubtedly positive in many aspects, inadvertently exposed and exacerbated existing issues within the league. The surge in popularity brought increased scrutiny, and not all of it was positive. Clark, along with other players, faced a barrage of online harassment, including racial comments and threats. The league's response to these challenges left much to be desired. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's comments about the Clark and Angel Reese drew sharp criticism from players and fans alike. By comparing it to the historic Bird Magic rivalry and emphasizing its marketing potential, Engelbert seemed to prioritize publicity over player welfare.
One white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
The WNBA Players Association didn't mince words in their response to Engelbert's stance. This backlash highlighted a growing disconnect between league leadership and the players they represent, at a time when unity was more crucial than ever. As player discontent reaches a fever pitch, all eyes turn to the woman at the helm. Kathy Engelbert's tenure as WNBA commissioner has been marked by historic deals and record-breaking viewership. Yet beneath the surface of these triumphs lurks a startling possibility. Could Engelbert's leadership be driving the league towards an unexpected crisis? Engelbert's journey to the WNBA's top position was unconventional. She arrived in 2019 with an impressive corporate pedigree, having served as the CEO of consulting firm Deloitte. There, she oversaw a behemoth operation generating $20 billion in revenue and employing 100,000 people. Her appointment signaled a shift towards a more business-oriented approach for the league, with hopes that her financial acumen would usher in a new era of prosperity.
It's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players. Much more so than they were 5 years ago because they see the benefit of having.
Initially, Engelbert's impact seemed overwhelmingly positive. She spearheaded a groundbreaking 11-year, $2.2 billion media rights deal set to commence in 2026. This agreement promised to significantly boost the league's revenue and exposure, potentially transforming the financial landscape of women's basketball. However, the cracks in Engelbert's leadership began to show as the league faced increasingly complex challenges. Her handling of player safety concerns has drawn sharp criticism. The Caitlin Clark and flagrant foul situation became a flashpoint, exposing Engelbert's struggle to balance marketing opportunities with player welfare. In a CNBC interview that would come to haunt her, Engelbert emphasized the importance of rivalries without directly addressing the negative aspects of fan behavior. This approach sparked outrage among players and fans alike, leading to unprecedented calls for her dismissal. Breanna Stewart, one of the league's most prominent stars, publicly criticized Engelbert, stating, "We wish Kathy would have used her platform in a different way."
Yeah, the one thing as a very long-term sports fan I know is that officiating and refereeing is always at the top of a fan's list, of the media's list.
The commissioner's response to the ongoing refereeing issues has been equally problematic. Players have voiced frustration over inconsistent officiating and a perceived lack of protection on the court. Yet Engelbert's public statements have often downplayed these concerns, focusing instead on the league's growth and financial prospects. She was even caught dismissing the issue in one of her latest public interviews.
Obviously, not every, they're humans, looking at technology. Basketball is a little more complex than tennis, for instance, around technology of officiating. So we're looking at a variety of different dimensions.
This disconnect has only widened the rift between leadership and players. As pressure mounts, questions arise about Engelbert's ability to navigate the current crises. Her corporate background, once seen as an asset, now appears to be a potential liability. Critics argue that her decision-making style prioritizes business growth over cultural sensitivity and player concerns. This approach may have yielded short-term financial gains, but at the cost of player trust and league unity. Will the league owners finally take action on the commissioner now that they're experiencing record-breaking losses? The WNBA stands at a critical crossroads, with record-breaking viewership and the Caitlin Clark phenomenon juxtaposed against massive financial losses. The league's future hangs in the balance. NBA owners' patience wears thin as players demand better treatment and compensation. The coming months will determine whether the WNBA can harness its surging popularity to finally achieve profitability, or if internal conflicts and mismanagement will lead to its downfall. The clock is ticking. If the league, its players, and leadership can't find common ground, The dream of a thriving women's professional basketball league in America may crumble, but if they can navigate these treacherous waters, the WNBA could emerge stronger than ever, solidifying its place in the sports landscape for generations to come. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.